All right, welcome. ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Thursday, the 8th of December. Good to have you aboard, your favorite little podcast here. You know what that means. Bad news for all the other podcasts. Everybody knows that. However you're listening to the show, appreciate that. Whatever podcast platform, make sure you tell your friends, you tell your family, like, rate, download, do all the good stuff for the algorithm. You know that stuff matters. I don't sit here trying to figure out how the algorithm works. I just know that if you do all that stuff, it gets me the monies. So I appreciate all of you guys. And of course, our title sponsor, Everything ZASLOW Show 2.0, is presented by Anidjar and Levine. Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. You make sure if you got any kind of personal injury you're dealing with from an accident, doesn't matter what kind of accident it was, I'm sending you over to Anidjar and Levine because they're going to make sure that you get the money you deserve. You focus on getting better. You focus on your health. Let them focus on all the extracurricular activities. They're going to get that part done for you while you're healing. Anidjar and Levine, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Okay, this is a big news day. You know, yesterday was a bad mood day, coming off of Tuesday night where you had the Heat and the Panthers, both with despicable losses. Both teams are back in action tonight, actually. You got the Heat at home. They're taking on the Clippers. You got the Panthers at home. They are taking on the Detroit Red Wings. So, good games for both teams. The Clippers, they're pretty good. I don't know what Kawhi's situation is. I mean, he is the leader in load management. He loves load management. And we talked quite a bit yesterday about load management. Probably going to do a little bit more of it today. It feels like it's the biggest story in the NBA, which is that's a disgrace. Think about that. Such a great sport. Such a great league. The lead story in the NBA, excuse me, I'm opening up my vitamin water here. The lead story in the league, load management. Oh, what a crock. We'll get back to that. But Heat tonight, Panthers tonight as well. Big night for the ZASLOWs also. That's right. Miami Classic soccer tournament begins tonight down in Hialeah, so we are spending our entire weekend in Hialeah. That's right. My son, Weston Select U14 boys, finished up their regular season 8-2-2, so the fall season is over. Great year, and great season, I should say. Clinched a playoff spot for coming up in May. It's at the end of the spring, the playoffs. Don't make me get into that. But in between the two seasons, we got a tournament which begins tonight. So Miami Classic tournament, we're there the entire weekend. Beginning with tonight, we got a game at 7:30 down at Amelia Earhart Park. This is a very tough tournament, playing a lot of good Miami teams, beginning with tonight. So really excited about that. My son, of course, Corey, he is the goalkeeper. He's had a terrific season. So again, Weston Select U14 boys, finally healthy too. Dealt with a ton of injuries to very key players. Finally healthy. Came off of a 6-1 win over Fort Lauderdale FC over the weekend to wrap up the regular season. And now we got all the health going for us and ready to start up this tournament tonight with a bang. So I'm very excited about that. Now, the big story though, the big story overall in sports, it's basketball, but it doesn't actually deal with basketball. The big story all across sports right now, woke up this morning, I checked Twitter. I always check, I click on what's trending. I want to see the things that are trending. And the big story, it says Brittney Griner. Brittney Griner's name is trending right there. I'm like, oh, okay. You click on it, and Brittney Griner is on her way home. Thank God, right? Brittney Griner is on her way home, and she has been released. She has been imprisoned for 10 months now, I believe it is, or was imprisoned for 10 months, I believe it was. And she is, the U.S. made a trade, all right? Not a Woj bomb, not that kind of trade. This is a Biden bomb, all right? So the U.S. made a trade. They traded, the guy who we've come to know as the merchant of death, the terrorist. And they made a trade for Brittney Griner. She is on her way home right now. President Biden spoke, it's about an hour and a half ago. He spoke in the White House. He was flanked by Kamala Harris, the vice president, and Brittney Griner's wife. I believe her name is Charmel. She spoke as well. And they're obviously ecstatic, as they should be. And Brittney Griner is on her way home, which is phenomenal news. But so first and foremost, what needs to be said there is, yes, it's fantastic that she's on her way home. It's fantastic that she's been released. She's going to be reunited after a nightmare that these past 10 months have been. I'm sure she lost hope at a lot of moments. I'm sure her family lost hope, her friends, her teammates, and any other, American citizens here who, know that you're dealing with a madman in Putin and in an ass backwards country in Russia. And you never thought she was going to make it home, and she's on her way home. So this is great news. This is a big news day, but it's a very complicated story. Very, very complicated. You can be happy. You could be relieved that an American citizen who, now the wrongfully imprisoned part or wrongfully detained, I don't understand that phrase. She committed a crime, but the punishment certainly does not fit the crime. That's the big problem, right? Because see, in general, I'm a rule follower. And she did commit a crime. But she was sentenced to 9 years after being detained. What she had, I don't think, no, she had weed on her. Was it hash she had on him? Whatever it was. She's in prison for 9 years. It's insane. So you could be glad that an American citizen is being brought home and at the same time be able to say, this whole situation is screwed up. The whole thing is screwed up. So there's one part of me that's happy that she's on her way home. Nobody deserves to be locked away for a Russian prison. And nobody deserves to be locked away for 9 years for whatever she was carrying on her. And I know, look, you could say to yourself, ZASLOW, how about in this country? Don't worry, we're going to get to that. Don't worry, we're going to circle back to that part. But there's a lot happening here where you could be happy with Brittney Griner coming home and also realize this whole situation is effed up. The first part, and I'm not going to, full disclosure, I'm not sitting here some type of expert in what's going on. I'm pretty certain you're there listening, whatever you're listening. I don't know what you're doing right now, but whatever you're doing, listen to me right now. You're not some type of expert when it comes to these types of political exchanges, all right? There's so much happening behind the scenes. I talked about this last couple days, Dolphins and 49ers, right? Where I'm not some X's and O's expert. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I totally know what's going on behind the scenes with football. I know what's in front of me, but I also know that, hey, there's a lot happening there that I'm not privy to. It's kind of similar to this situation. I know what my eyes are showing me, and that's Brittney Griner is on her way home. They exchanged with a terrorist. Why didn't they do this? Why did they do that? Why did they also bring home this Paul Whelan? Okay, and I'll use that same analogy. I know what my eyes are telling me, but you don't think there's so much going on behind the scenes that we are obviously not privy to because we're talking about national security, where you sit there, why did they also bring home this guy? Why did they also bring home this guy? Don't you think they wanted to? Don't you think they definitely tried and have likely been trying for years? There's so much going on there that we're not aware of, that we're not privy to, that we're not allowed to know. And at least bringing this woman home, that's a win for the day. But there's a lot of other crap that's happening here that is really screwed up. So if you're paying attention at all to what's going on today, this Paul Whelan, right? He's the name that you also see trending, where he's an ex-Marine and he's locked up for the past 4 years. Espionage, all right? They caught him, American spy, what have you. And that's the guy where it's like they've been trying to get him home. That's, hey, Brittney Griner's a basketball player. How about bringing home the guy, the Marine? How about bringing home a guy who's been working, national security for us? Don't you think they're trying to? Don't you think they really, really would like to bring that guy home? And you know what's probably likely? Because apparently it was, they've been working for, all right, we want to do 2-for-1 trade. Griner and this Paul Whelan, and we're going to give you, this guy Boot, the merchant of death, this terrorist. And it likely got to a place where they were trying to negotiate this 2-for-1. And, look, you're dealing with Russia here. And you also have to remember, we are, not to get political and stuff, but you also got to remember, we've been back in Ukraine. Like, we're supplying Ukraine in this war that's going on. And so Russia's being super difficult, and it likely got, and once they detained Brittney Griner, it's like, oh, American basketball player, also gay? Yeah, we hate those. Look, let's use her. She's going to be a big-time pawn, and we're going to get one of our terrorists back. That's what's going on there. So it likely got to a place where it wasn't going to happen bringing back this Paul Whelan as well. So, and you heard, if you watch the president this morning, he said, I got to make tough decisions. And this is the kind of decision that he's probably referring to, where it's, all right, I can hold out and say, no, we want to do 2-for-1. We got to get this Paul Whelan back too. Or he can make a really tough decision and say, all right, getting her back is better than nothing. Let's get her back and continue to work on the other guy. And that's the kind of tough decisions that an American president's got to make. It's going to be met with a lot of criticism and a lot of backlash, and understandably so. But to sit here and they should have done this, come on, man. There's so much happening there that we are just not allowed to know, that we are not privy to. You don't think they want to bring back all Americans who are locked up, who are detained illegally in all of these countries that we're not friends with? So if I'm that guy's family, Paul Whelan, I'm probably not feeling so hot right now. Damn, like we couldn't get him home too. That's I feel terrible for them. I do. I feel really bad for them. And I understand the people, even though I think you also have to take a step back and say, yeah, like, you don't think the president wants to get home everyone? But I understand the people who are upset. You want to bring that guy home. He's been there for years. Come on. He works for our government. He's a Marine, or was a Marine. I get it. And then there's a part of people where it's, wow, to get Brittney Griner back, we gave them a terrorist. But I understand that. But first and foremost, we got to, protecting our citizens is the most important thing. We got to protect our citizens. And then you get the easiest comments to make, the easiest tweets to make. Oh, I wonder if Brittney Griner will stand for the national anthem now. Look, that's not. Do I like not standing for the anthem? No, I think everybody should stand for the anthem. I'm not terribly offended when you don't, but I stand for the anthem. I like the anthem, But if you don't stand for it, look, it is what it is. But that's part of the thing, right? In this country here, whether you agree with, that citizen or you disagree with that citizen, they're still what? An American citizen, all right? And our government, we're supposed to protect and give all the rights, all of our rights, to all American citizens. And even if she doesn't like everything that's going on here and she doesn't want to stand for the national anthem and she doesn't agree with this or she doesn't agree with that, she's still an American citizen. And that's what our country's about, right? Whether you agree with that person or not agree with them, first and foremost, they're an American citizen. So we got to protect them. That's what it's about. So I don't want to hear about the national anthem stuff. Not, she hates this country so much. Well, first of all, I bet right now she loves this country a whole lot. All right? Bet she loves it so much. But I don't want to hear about that, Whether you agree with them or not. Whether you agree with what any of these people think, politically. American citizen, first and foremost. We got to protect our citizens. That's what this country is about. Now, you get to the part that really bothers me. So I started out with the good. The good was she's home, or coming home. Then there's the bad, which is we couldn't also bring home this other guy, Paul Whelan. And we also gave them a terrorist. That's bad, all right? But here's the part that also really bothers me. And I told you I would circle back to it. Detaining her for whatever she was holding, if it was weed or if it was hash, and, It's a crime. And it's why I don't mess around with other countries. You go to another country, everything you're doing there better be spick and span. I'm not effing around. I've seen, Broke Down Palace, all right? I've seen these movies. I'm not trying to get thrown into Chinese prison for 100 years because I had, I had some marijuana paraphernalia. You got to be careful when you go to these other countries. You realize how fortunate sometimes we are to live in this country when you realize what some of the laws are and punishments are in other countries. I don't mess around with other countries and their rules. But we could all agree, being put away for 9 years for whatever she was holding is crazy. And then it's like, hey, ZASLOW, how about what we're putting people away for in this country for what she was holding? And it's like, yup. That part bothers me. That's the part that really bothers me. We got a lot of people who are incarcerated in this country for holding, whatever she was holding, and they're going away to prison. I don't know, maybe it's not 9 years, maybe it's several years, 5, 6, I don't know. But we got people who are, look, marijuana is not legal on the federal level in this country. Not every state has marijuana legalized. So think about that for a second. At a federal level, our country is still putting people in prison for what Brittney Griner was just, accused of, or found guilty of, if you want to say. In Russia, we're putting people in prison for similar crimes here on a federal level. It's not legal, and we just gave up a terrorist to bring her back. That part is screwed up. That part I don't like. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have given up the terrorist. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, why are we putting people in prison? Why is that stuff not legal on a federal level when we are willing to give up a terrorist to bring Brittney Griner home? And that part's effed up, man. I don't like that. I don't like that part. You go to plenty of states here in this country still. You're holding whatever she was holding, be it weed or hashish. And you got a problem. You're going to jail. And they're going to put you in prison here. They're going to find you guilty. You don't get a good lawyer. They're going to find you guilty. They're going to put you in prison. And they're not going to give up a terrorist to get you out. That part bothers me. And that part should bother a lot of people. And that's not a Brittney Griner issue right there per se. That's a, what are we doing in this country kind of issue when we're throwing people in prison for similar stuff. And nobody's offering up some merchant of death to get you out. So that part's a little bit frustrating to me. So I ended with the bad there. But if I could circle back to the good right quick. The good is, and you see it's all over your Twitter, your social media, it's all over the news today. The good is that she's on her way home. She's going to be reunited with her wife. I wonder if she's ever going to play basketball again. But I did like how the wife got up there and said, we are committed, myself and Brittney. We're going to continue to fight for Americans who are wrongfully detained in other countries. I hope she meant that. I hope she does do that. And I really wish the president and his staff a lot of luck in bringing home, these other Americans who are being unlawfully detained in these countries like this Paul Whelan. I really hope that they could figure that all out. But I think it's important, like I said, I think it's important that you realize, like with football, oh my God, why do you do that? Why do you make that throw? Why do you call that play? There's so much going on behind the scenes that we are not aware of. And if you don't think that they're trying their hardest to get all these people home, come on. Don't be stupid. Come on. So, big news day. Glad she's on her way home. And there's still obviously a lot of work to do. And it's a super complicated issue. Very polarizing issue. And it's going to be, there's a lot of people out there who are happy today. Like, I don't think that there should be people who are happy and there are people who are mad. There should be people who are happy and people who are happy but also mad, Because everyone should be happy that she's on her way home. But maybe you're also mad for some of the things that I just mentioned there. So anyway, if we could continue on, let's get to the sports stuff here. All right. You got the Heat tonight. Oh, let me tell you what I got going on the show today. What we got going on the show today. Bully Ray. That's right. You know, there's been a big week on ZASLOW Show 2.0 as far as getting the pro wrestlers on the show. I hope everyone enjoyed hearing from Jay Vidal yesterday, newest signee for Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling, Ticketmaster.com, tomorrow night, Saturday night, Winter Warfare at the Charles F. Dodge City Center in Pembroke Pines, very close to me. They are taping their shows Friday and Saturday. Impact Wrestling, Ticketmaster.com. You can get your tickets super affordable. I'm going tomorrow night. Hope to see you guys there. I gave away a few pairs of tickets to some of the ZASLOW Show 2.0 listeners. So if you see me there, you come and say hello. And we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow night. And if you guys are going on Saturday, you'll have a lot of fun too. So Jay Vidal, he joined us yesterday. YouTube.com/@ZASLOW Show. You can watch the interview or, on the podcast, man. ZASLOW Show 2.0. Go back and check that out. Last week we had Brian Myers. You may remember him. Kurt Hawkins from WWE. He joined us. And today, Bully Ray. Bubba Ray Dudley. You may know him better as. Bully Ray. One half of one of the all-time greatest tag teams. 10-time WWE Tag Team Champion. The Dudley Boys. Bubba Ray Dudley. Bully Ray is going to join us on the show today. And of course, I listen to him on a regular basis. One of the co-hosts, one of the revolving co-hosts, SiriusXM Fight Nation's Busted Open, which is the premier pro wrestling show in the world, all right? But Bully Ray, he's going to join us today. I am really looking forward to talking to him. That's going to be great. And tonight, you got the football. Rams-Raiders, not a good game. If we were doing big game, not a big game, not a big game. But nonetheless, we got that going on tonight. So, the Heat tonight, they host the Clippers. Panthers tonight, they host the Red Wings. I got soccer tonight. I'm very into that. I'm going to be nervous. It's a very big game as the tournament begins for Wesson Select U14 boys there in Hialeah. Miami Classic gets going tonight. Now, if we could do some Dolphins here, and then we'll get to if we could do some Heat here, and then we'll get to the Dolphins. First, though, I do want to make note first. I want to continue a little bit of the conversation that we had yesterday, all right? I was very fired up about the load management. Very fired up about guys resting. Very upset that Jimmy Butler couldn't play the second night of the back-to-back. Jimmy's sitting out. Load management, return to conditioning, whatever that is. Number one, I ended up looking stupid. And number two, I don't understand. He couldn't give 15 minutes. Couldn't just play the second half. How about this? The Heat were up by 3 at halftime against Detroit the other day. You're telling me it wouldn't have helped if up by 3 at halftime and now we got Jimmy Butler? He didn't play first half because we're limiting his minutes. He's only going to play 15 minutes instead of 0. He's only going to play 15 minutes, and it's all going to be in the second half. You're telling me the Heat start the second half on Tuesday night. They're up by 3. And now you got Jimmy Butler, who's going to play most of the second, 15 minutes, 15 out of 24. He's going to play most of the second half. That's not going to help the team win? Of course it would. So that bothers me. So I was all fired up over that yesterday. I want to continue that conversation a little bit, but Richard Jefferson yesterday on the NBA Today, give this a listen here, as he's also frustrated about the load management.
The load management was not created by the players. Hear me out. Load management was not created by the players. It was created by teams, training staff, and even some coaches. We'll give Greg Popovich some of this credit for this. But it wasn't created by the players. They are giving players days off, time off that truly isn't needed, and it allows them to decondition themselves.
So, he's right to an extent. What he's right about is, yes, everybody remembers that load management was essentially created by the San Antonio Spurs. Well, was it the 2012 season or the 2013 season? It was a game here. Nationally televised game. Duncan, Ginobili, maybe it was Parker as well. Didn't even make the trip. Sat them out. Rest days. Load management. So we're talking 10 years ago. That's when it began. But here's the problem I have with Richard Jefferson. And obviously Richard Jefferson is going to be pro player. Although I did see Richard Jefferson made this point. He sent out this tweet with the load management where I've seen players who are coming back from a thumb injury and they're doing load management upon their return. That's bullshit. I mean, think about it. A thumb injury, and he needs to rest. Load management for a thumb injury. That's bullshit. So I like that Richard Jefferson is pointing things like that out. But in this instance here, teams may have started it. The San Antonio Spurs may have started it. This is a players' league. No team is telling the player, the star player, hey, you're not playing tonight, you're resting. And then that star player is just like, no, I really want to play. I want to play. No, you're not allowed to play. You're resting. And it's like, okay. You really think that's happening? You think that's the way it's going down? In a star-driven league, a players' league, you think that the team is telling Kevin Durant, you think that the team is telling Giannis, although he never sits, and Durant doesn't, he sits sometimes. You're telling the team is telling Luka Doncic, Trae Young for that matter, who was involved in a controversy on his own. They're like, you're not playing tonight, you're resting. And the brother's like, oh, okay, I guess I don't have any control over that. No. I told you, the NBA player loves two things more than anything else. Complaining and not playing. If the player wants to play, as long as that hurts, if the player wants to play, instead of resting, he's playing. That's garbage. He's playing. So that part with Richard Jefferson, I obviously do not agree with. The whole thing was really bothering me yesterday. I'm still bothered by it today. I'm so tired of the load management crap. I'm serious when I say, can you imagine, how come hockey players never have to rest? How come they never have load management? You know, I sent out a tweet yesterday, the NHL had a list of the games. It was like 7 or 8 games. Hey, which games are you watching? And it was a picture of it, and I retweeted it, I quote tweeted it. And that the quote tweet's when you tweet it, but then you also put comments. I quote tweeted. And I quote tweeted, and I said, you know, how many guys are sitting tonight because of load management? And then I put spoiler, none. What? Hockey is so much harder to play than basketball. And it's not competition, but those guys never sit for rest. There's never load management. Matter of fact, they get hurt during the game, they get stitches, they come back and they play. The same game. Not come back and play next month. They come back and play next shift. Can you imagine a hockey player? Can you imagine a hockey player walks into the dressing room that day? He's not going through his normal routine. One of the other players notices, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Not playing tonight. How come? I'm resting. Can you freaking imagine? Do you know what would happen if that exchange took place in a hockey dressing room? I'm not playing tonight. I'm resting. How come hockey players don't have to load manage? It's a very serious question. I'm not trying to make a joke. You know, I was getting some responses from some Heat fans yesterday. Great Heat fans, George and Blanca. Great Heat fans. Been season ticket holders forever. They put George on the screen all the time. He's dancing. You know what I'm talking about. They put him on the screen there. He's always dancing, sits behind the basket. Says, it said something to the effect, about the players sitting. You're totally right. I turned in my seats this year after 25 years. It's like, what? You're not a season ticket holder anymore? 25 years, man. You're not a season ticket holder anymore? Said, yeah, couldn't stand it. Couldn't handle it. Load management, players sitting, players resting. It's garbage. He's 100% right. He's right. He's right. Fans, now the team certainly can't know in advance. When I say team, I mean like the business side. Like they don't know in advance if a player's not going to play. Fans should get discounts when a player sits out for load management. You're going to the Heat game tonight, or let's do it for Tuesday night, okay? You were going to the Heat game Tuesday night. Jimmy Butler sitting out, second night of a back-to-back load management. You should then get a credit in your account. Yeah. However you bought your tickets, if it's an individual game ticket, certainly if you're a season ticket holder, if players are sitting out due to load management, you should get a credit back to your account. Not the whole ticket. You still went and saw a basketball. You saw an NBA game. You should not get I'm not saying you should get a refund. You should get a credit back to your account. I don't know, maybe get 25% back, 30% back, whatever it is. You should get a credit. Players sing out because he's resting. I'm here. I'm still paid. You should get a credit back to your account. It's an epidemic what's going on with the NBA and the players sitting. And it's the biggest story. If you were tuning, I listen to SiriusXM NBA radio all the time. You listen to NBA radio yesterday? Yeah. Listen in the morning with Isola and Mitch Lawrence. Listen in the afternoon with my guy Justin Termini and Eddie Johnson. It's the main story. Players sitting. It's a disgrace. Can you imagine? When I was a kid, and part of it was because the Heat were such a young franchise. I was 7 years old when the Heat first started in 1988. And so going to Heat games those first 4, 5, 6, 7 years, Pat Riley got here in year number 8, I think it was. So those first handful of years, the game you wanted to go to was what? It was the Bulls. Michael Jordan. Tickets were so hard to get. Impossible. But if you were to plunk down the money to see Michael Jordan and the Bulls come to town, that was the game, man. I never got to go to that game. I went to the playoffs. I think the first time I ever saw Michael Jordan and the Bulls live and in person, I think it was the 1996 playoffs. The Heat they got swept in the first round. It was Riley's first year with the team. I went to game 3. The Heat lost, series over because it was best of 5 back then. I sat way up in the upper deck in Miami Arena. I think that was the first time I ever saw Michael Jordan and the Bulls in person. It was a very tough ticket to get. I can't imagine I'm 10 years old, whatever age I am. We show up to the game and Michael Jordan is resting. Like, you hear it all the time now. Oh, what if a kid, dad saves up his money and he can't see his favorite player play? It's the only game he can go to. That was me growing up, man. We would go to 1 or 2 games a season. We were middle class. We didn't have money. That was a luxury going to a Heat game, and that was my favorite thing in the world. Imagine I show up to a Heat game and Glenn Rice is sitting. That's my guy. Glenn Rice is sitting because he's resting tonight. I'd have been crying the whole game. That's a real thing, man. These guys just sit. You should get not refunds. You should get discounts. Player sits because of load management. You get a credit back in your account. I'm dead serious about that. They just do the right thing. That's not going to happen, though. So, again, like I said, Heat and Clippers tonight. And that's a hot take. That's a hot take. You know what? I want to remind everybody. You feel a little bit hot. You put your hand on your forehead like, I'm burning up a little bit. I better go make an appointment with the doctor. I better go to the doctor. I hope they can see me today. They're not going to be able to see you today. If you got a good doctor, he's always booked. What if the doctor can come to your home? That's right. Would that be something you're interested in? Of course you're interested in that. And take it from me, because Doctors on Call 365, South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. I've used them twice in the last 3 weeks. That's right. Dr. Alon, he came over to my house 2 nights ago. My son, we thought that he had strep throat. He doesn't, but we know that he doesn't because Dr. Alon gave him a strep test right in my kitchen. That's right. You call Doctors on Call 365 at 786-577-9302 or go to doctorsoncall365.com and they are coming to your home. You need blood drawn, you need IV fluids, you need vitamin therapy, COVID, flu, strep test, whatever you need. Dr. Alon and his team at Doctors on Call 365, they'll come to your home and they're going to take care of you. You need a prescription made out, you need a prescription refilled. He's going to do that for you as well. South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. 786-577-9302, Doctors on Call 365. And of course, if you're dealing with an emergency, you got to call 911. All right, those are my guys there. Dr. Alon and his crew there. Doctors on Call 365. So, yesterday, thanks, by the way, DolphinsTalk.com podcast, my guys, my new friends, Mike and Ian, they had me on they got a very big Dolphins podcast, Dolphins.com podcast. They had me on as a guest last night. I really appreciate that. I enjoyed that. They were fun. I got to yell a bunch of Dolphin things at them, and they were very nice to me. So go check that out. It's available on their YouTube page. I hung out with them for about 30 minutes last night. DolphinsTalk.com podcast. It's up there on the YouTube page. Click the like, the subscribe, the alert button, all that good stuff, and support those guys. I had a lot of fun with them last night. We were talking Dolphins football. They're super fired up for the game this weekend. I'm super fired up for the game this weekend. And the first thing that they asked me, like, hey, what were your thoughts about what took place in the 49ers game, this past weekend? And I said to them, what I've been saying, all week is I don't understand the credit that the 49ers defense has been getting for the Dolphins' performance. And, I got some pushback on social media, predictably from 49ers fans. But yesterday, I was validated. Chris Sims, who, he's not a Tua hater anymore. He believes in Tua now, but he was a Tua hater. Remember, he thought he was like a fifth-round talent. He had him rated like 30th best quarterback in the NFL. Nah, he's eating all those words, I'm pretty sure. He's a Tua guy now. He sent out this tweet yesterday. I was thrilled to see this because I don't know what's what. I'm not an X's and O's guy. But Chris Sims, he's got a resume. He knows what he's talking about. And he tweeted out yesterday. On paper, it might have looked like the 49ers D shut down the Dolphins O. Definitely not the case. Walked away thinking better of the Dolphins than I had before. Mike McDaniel had guys wide open all day. Haven't seen the San Francisco defense exposed like that in a long time. He continued on. It wasn't pressure. Niners really didn't get into his face a ton within the normal flow of the game. He just missed a lot of throws that he's been hitting all year. If these teams played again, Dolphins would feel good about a rematch, I bet. That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying all week. I feel vindicated. I feel validated. Because I don't, what do I know? I'm doing a dopey little podcast here. He knows what he's talking about. And that's exactly what I've been saying all week. Should have smoked that team. And that's what I told those guys last night. Now, again, Dolphins.com podcast. Go check it out. Give it a watch. Give it a listen. Subscribe. They're good guys. But that's what I've been talking about the whole week. And I feel like a football expert now. So there you have it. There you go. So what are we? 3 sleeps away, right? 3 sleeps away from Dolphins and Chargers. I love that it's Sunday night, man. Just get to sit down and relax, but watch the 1 o'clock games. And then when those games are over, I'm going to watch the 4 o'clock games. And then when those games are over, I'll probably have a couple beers. I'll have something to eat. I'll probably take a shower because I don't want to do it so late at night. And then I'm going to sit down in the ZASLOW Mansion family room on the couch and get ready for Dolphins Chargers. That's right. That's what we got going on Sunday night. Very excited. Yeah, I feel like a football expert now. All right. I got to tell you guys, before we get Bully Ray on board here, all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by Johnny Cuba. Go pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba right now. They're available at Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie. I'm so grateful. Juan and Myra, the whole Johnny Cuba crew coming on board here. We're talking European roots with a Caribbean soul. You start your afternoon. You get done listening to ZASLOW Show 2.0. You can go sit yourself. If you got a pool, you got a nice patio and a pool in your backyard like here at the ZASLOW Mansion, you sit there, you get yourself a Johnny, all right? You crack open a can. Have one, have two, not too many, all right? You don't want to get sick, but if you're at home, you can indulge, all right? You can have a few. Start your afternoon with a refreshing German lager in a can. It's a lifestyle, all right? Johnny Cuba. And again, Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Crack yourself open a Johnny this afternoon. You'll be thinking of your boy here. All right.